G'day. It's been a great few days. Apologies, it's been a while since a vid. Apologies. But concurrently with this incredibly strong desire to tell everyone about this discovery is my relationship with the universe. And that has its own demands. And considering the situation where it's been this path that I've walked with the universe for virtually my whole life, maintaining this relationship, and it's something I do, man. It's something I do. And so apologies I haven't made a video. It's great meeting people. I was, the guys there, the Sun and the Moon group, that was great, man. I really liked that, and can't wait to do it again. Because all along, since this discovery's happened, I've told people, and I've seen the reaction where this actually speaks directly to consciousness. And it draws out consciousness in that person. And it immediately changes how they feel. It is wonderful. And that has happened many times. And I know, like, there's Chinese people I know, there's other foreign people I know. And I think being it's been great. So I wanted to, there's been some things that have come to mind. One of which is a thought about Jesus, right? So we have the evidence of consciousness, right? And that is that we live in a town. We love to meet and speak to each other. We really love that. We're all about that. We love sports. We love team. We work best together. We work best together. But Jesus doesn't want that. Jesus says that you will be judged. You will be judged. So he makes the soul an individual thing. Okay, and this is disgusting, because consciousness is not an individual thing. Consciousness functions collectively. That's why we gravitate to each other. We are stronger together. And the thing is, with the consciousness, that the way that works is 1 + 1 = 3. And that's why when you fall in love, it feels so amazing, because 1 and 1 adds up to 3. So you go from 1 consciousness, yourself, right, to 3, the experience of 3 helpings of consciousness. You've tripled your experience. And according to the issue that matters there, consciousness, right? You've tripled your experience, and that's why love feels amazing. Amazing. And that's the train wreck when you break up, when you get dumped and things. That's why it feels like you've had your soul ripped out. It's because you've gone from 3 to 1. And literally that's the giant kick in the guts, right? And that's a good analogy for a way of describing the face value of the character of consciousness. It's the face value. because that's not in the relationship, man. It's not in the relationship. That is the face value of the function of it, right? And so yeah, that's a remarkable thing. So yeah, Jesus wants us all individualizers, which is the weakest state of consciousness. Oh, funny that. So that's why I say that religion is actually exclusively derived from the senior elements of the political correctness of anxiety, because that the political optics of that is entirely fits exactly in line with the reality there that presents itself when Jesus wants to individualize you, to judge you. That's the position anxiety wants you. It wants you alone so it can have you as a captive victim of what it wants, right? So that's just another great piece of evidence that came through. That I was talking to this Chinese guy, Larry, about this, and that's how it just came out like that. It was such a great, simple analogy, and it's a simple observation. It's simple mathematics, man. It's a simple observation. It is the truth. It is the truth, because deduction by observation is the truth. There's no inclusion of philosophy. There's no inclusion of bias. It is an observed thing, and that is the observation of the political optics of Jesus individualizing everyone, right? And this proves, it is a giant fraud, and it is proof that religion replicates the function of anxiety. And I've got to say, I reached out to Mr. Santos Bonacci, who has done a remarkable job of research and deduction, and he is a giant for having the passion he has. So he is entirely, my first impression of the few vids I've seen, he was outside, he was explaining the birth certificate thing, he was explaining the Italian families thing, and with what he's saying, okay, he is entirely passionate about it, and he's fearless. And this is total evidence he's absolutely grounded in consciousness. To speak out about tyranny like he's doing, fearlessly, with full awareness of the kind of things they can inflict on him. He's fearlessly doing it, and that's a great thing. He's so utterly grounded in consciousness to do that. I love that. And so, see, that's why I've been hated mostly all of my life by people. That's what it seemed like my father hated me, because anxiety hates courage, man. See, I was always, quiet. I'm thinking, that instance when you're the culture shock event of birth, right? That environment that you're in will either give you votes of confidence and courage, or votes of confidence and anxiety, right? And it sets the mind on two paths, one of two paths. It sets the mind that you'll have the opportunity to think, and you'll see the value in thinking. Or there will be some drama, and there'll be like blah, 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 and that will lead the mind to be formatted that it reacts to things. It reacts. And that is the chosen ground of anxiety. React. And it's like, that's a fair comment, man, because Twitter, you've got this little space, 200 letters. I think it's 200 letters, is it? Because I don't use Twitter at all. It's like, You know, anxiety loves the one-dimensional perspective. It loves the one-dimensional perspective. It did govern the development of the human language system, which is also one-dimensional and very mechanical. And so, yeah, Twitter is like, no wonder the media love Twitter. The media love Twitter because the media love anxiety. And it seems pleasing to anxiety. And that's why they have embraced it quite dramatically. And even while they're embracing Facebook and Twitter and all that, these guys that were there at the inception of Facebook are now saying that this is having a very negative effect on society and how we relate to each other. And so, you know what? This is the thing, right? The whole political environment, from the individual to the macro, all has this experience where they have this culture shock event of birth that brings anxiety into existence. Then we have a language that is heavily biased to supporting the political perspective of anxiety. And then we have created all the civilization. And that's why we're getting all these outcomes we're getting, right? And so right now, well, for example, in Venezuela's doing really bad, and the media are saying, oh, it's a socialist country and the leader's a dictator, and it's like, you know, they will tell you what the anxiety perspective is because it's anxiety that is determining the development of the situation in that country. Because anxiety wants. It needs what it wants. And so basically Wall Street has gone in there with their attack force and manipulated the economy, and over a course of years removed some products from the market. And they've done this. There's 20 products, they say, because I watched this great vid by Abby, what's her name, on RT. She interviewed the finance minister of Venezuela, right? And he spilled the beans completely, man. And what they've done is there's these 20 significant products in the market that people use very regularly, and they've all been manipulated. They've been withdrawn from the market. There's been massive price fixing. They've shut down supply to raise the prices heaps. And they're using this to affect the psyche of the people. So that country has been under attack. You know, this is what's going on. And they're doing it. Their philosophy is completely underwritten by the belief that anxiety is wisdom, and that it is politically correct to control. It is politically correct that it wants to take your strength. Okay? And so this is what, the financial system has followed this very closely. When you look at the behaviour of the IMF, and that's the Ukraine situation in 2014. They absolutely did not want to get in debt to the IMF, because that means that they take over the country. They take over the economy, and so there's a lot of behaviours there, and these senior people in the geopolitical environment, they are replicating the function of anxiety exactly to achieve the same goal that anxiety achieves in the singular mind as it events in the singular mind. And that's why they're getting away with it, because we, the human being, the silent majority, all think that's politically credible. That is just and virtuous to do that, actually. Because it's not because that's our values, it's not because of that. It's the respect of anxiety. We respect that anxiety is allowed to do that. And that plays out. You get domestic violence, the neighbours start shouting at each other, rah-de-rah, shouting, ongoing arguments, and everyone goes quiet, right? If you're a flatmate in a house and the couple's arguing, or your parents are arguing or something, you all go all quiet and you start walking on eggshells, and, the reason that you feel like that in that situation is because of the laws of anxiety. Fifth law of anxiety is you must at all times acquiesce to they which are expressing the most anxiety. That's the fifth law of anxiety. Fourth law of anxiety is you must accept without question the dishonesty that is created by the first three laws. Second law of anxiety is you must allow other people to conceal their anxieties. So you are giving the blessing there for everyone to lie to you. And this understanding predates the discovery of the revelation of the eight laws, that if we conceal our anxieties and we allow other people to conceal their anxieties, which is what has been going on the whole history of people, we've been lying to each other the whole time. And our whole perception of reality is that lie is the truth. Okay, and religion, financial system, perception of governance, perception of everything has been according to that system of lying, to get the outcome that anxiety thinks it pleases anxiety. And so here we are. We're all slaves to this financial system. We can't get out of it. And it's like playing lotto. You play lotto and think, oh, I could win lotto, man. I'll spend like $12 on a ticket, man, you know, and I might win, you know. It's like amazing. Wow, wow. Well, actually, the whole of the economic system works like that. You know, this capitalism thing is like lotto. They say, oh, capitalism's really good. It's a great system, man. But it's exactly like that lotto thing. I've not won, you know, I've had a few instances of a win, but it's never been much. And the whole big financial system is the same, where they say capitalism is a good thing. They know full well that mostly everyone can't have contact with the prize, because nobody in the silent majority's got enough money to enter the game, actually. It's a fucking lie. And see, that's believable because everyone believes that anxiety is wisdom, right? And so that's how the system has come about. It is an absolutely accurate reflection of the relationship between anxiety and courage. And so that's the thing of that, man. That's the thing of that. Yeah, so anyway, I wrote, Santos made contact with the old Facebook, and he says he's never ever considered it from this perspective. He's never considered, of course, you know, with the anxiety, with the whole quantum level reality system, man. See, anxiety lives at the quantum level of thought. And so with the quantum level generation of the formatting of reality, right, he'd never considered it. Nobody has ever considered this, right? Nobody. And that's why it's never been discovered. That's why anxiety is this kind of urban myth, and everyone thinks it's like trying to catch smoke, and everyone's allowed to not talk about it, and everyone not even bothers asking questions about it, because they know you're not supposed to ask questions about anxiety. First rule of Fight Club is don't ask questions about Fight Club. And that whole movie, that Fight Club movie, that's just that people instinctively know what's going on. Fight Club is a good example of the lunacy that our civilization functions under, man. It's like, so you might think the world's crazy and it's like mad and there's lots of Satanists running around and all that, but they're actually only exercising the same values that the average people have, but they're doing it from a position of power. Okay, so rich people and poor people, okay, the middle class is in between, right, but you get rich people, poor people, right? They actually have exactly the same beliefs and perspective of their political group. They don't talk to people outside their group. They think they're better than everyone else. They've got all these rationales why what they're doing is righteous. They don't value education. Neither side values education. Rich people think this is the only thing we need to know. Poor people think this is the only thing we need to know. both sides have exactly the same politics, rich and poor. The middle class are different. We value education. We are the reason why there is an economy in every corner of the world. It is the efforts and desire and beliefs of the middle class, silent majority, that education is excellent. We want to know more. Let's do cool stuff. We want the experience. We want the experience. It's not about getting rich at all. It is the experience of achieving something, which is being grounded in consciousness. That's what consciousness is about, right? And so there's this massive lie system going on, and what my aspiration is, right, is if I had some money, man. See, I haven't got any money because I'm shunned from society because I believe in courage. And I'm a good communicator, so that's why I've been alienated out of a lot of things, because the middle management will not tolerate a good communicator, because a good communicator can identify that they're actually bad communicators, right? And this is the organised protection racket that anxiety operates in people to maintain anxiety as wisdom. And so that's why you can't get into... That's why all the silent majority have a lot of problems with middle management, communicating with middle management. And that's why the paperwork thing has become so important, because the anxiety-driven middle management can then not talk to you at all. You can talk to the bit of paper. And that's the thing of it, right? So anyway, if we had a lot of money, and I've tried, I've got my project I'm building at the moment, and I'm trying to get through it, but it's just a slow process. And so anyway, this year sometime I'm going to start my company. But before that, probably, or concurrently with that, I'm going to, what I would do if I got miraculously resourced, I would immediately go on a speaking tour. Because as per even the reaction in the Hangout thing just yesterday, just a profound reaction, man, and it's immediately, this is the decryption key of the encrypted mind, how anxiety has encrypted the mind. This discovery is the decryption key of the mind, right? And that is, I've seen it. There's a virtual instant acknowledgement. Man, it's great. And so I would immediately go on a speaking tour, because New Zealand is a total basket case of anxieties, man. It is fucking overloaded with anxiety views and these social problems. It's all the crime that people do to each other. The domestic violence and the drugs and all that whole stuff. Why do people want to use drugs? Okay, they want to step off this fucking crazy train to be with consciousness. That's your whole drug thing. So if we can change things around by denouncing anxiety and making courage and consciousness the political aristocracy, then all the drug thing changes. All the drug thing changes. Because alongside this business of that, you get this instance where everyone gets told as a kid they only use 10% of their brain. Well, that's actually not true. You use all your brain, but you live within the jurisdiction of the first two laws. That is why you're only allowed to use 10% of your brain, because that's how much you're allowed to communicate if you believe that anxiety is wisdom. So, going out and about there like I'd like to, I would actually tell all these people about that, because Maoris, in New Zealand here we have Maoris, man, the Maori people. Now they are fucking, not only do they have 1 foot in consciousness realm, but they have 1.5 feet in consciousness realm, because they fucking get ankle tapped really hard They get ankle tapped really hard. They're extremely easy to piss off. They are they get fucking angry super duper easy sometimes, man. And this is because they are actually really, really super angry with anxiety. That's what's going on. They are already super fucked off at the quantum level because they know that anxiety, they hate anxiety. And they're so angry that this has happened, that anxiety has hijacked the mind, because they know consciousness, man. They've got the muku, which is the facial tattoos, and that is actually, that's a great stylistic representation of consciousness. They are acknowledging consciousness, right? And their whole society is configured by extended family. The village raises the kids and married them, for sure. And so I'll go up and tell all those guys, because they all a lot of them live around the coast, close to the coast. So I go up and tell all the Maoris, man, about this, man. Because actually Maoris are incredibly smart. You know what? Everyone is smart. All these nationalities, it's not just Caucasians that invented all this society and universities and that. Actually, Maori are extremely smart, but they don't have that aspiration. Their aspiration is to be, because they have this, you know, their perspective is weighted much more towards consciousness. So they actually don't have this thing of control. Okay, and anyway, they have a different culture to the organised society that the Western world has developed into. And I tell you what, the Maori has a civilization that I imagine was very like pre-religion Celtic times, the Caucasian people back then, and druids, and they had druids, and Maori live a lot like probably what they lived like, and so they who respect and acknowledge consciousness, they all roll the same way. See, so that's why I would go on this big speaking tour, and I'd go around the whole country to the little places, you know, I'd go up the guts, man, to the main centres, right? Boom, 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 boom. And then I'd do it again. I'd go around all these other places to have a little follow-up chat with the people, and then go up the guts again, boom, 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 get to the big place, Auckland, right? And then announce the political party, right? And it's heavily based on awareness of the 8 laws. And so this is a miraculous time. This is, you talk about miracles. See, if the people believe that this is a true thing, which everybody I've talked to has, and all the people embrace this, which everyone I've spoken to about it has, including most recently Santos, the government have to acquiesce to it, because that's where their votes come from. So whoever wants their votes is going to have to embrace it. And you know what? That changes everything, man. That changes fucking everything, man. That is, you know what? That is not only creating a political status for the silent majority, that is actually, that makes the establishment look tiny in comparison. Tiny. And so this is a absolutely miraculous achievement. And so I'll say, man, if you can give me shitloads of money, I will immediately progress to that. I will start immediately do that. And because this is all that's going on. I mean, I've got my company. My company, as I might have said in a vid here and there, if you look at the theory of relativity 2.0, this revelation, this giant discovery, right, how different it is from conventional wisdom. Okay, that's how different my products are. And what my products are really are highly articulate mechanical engineering. And so the wheelchair, the primary product wheelchair thing, that's like, that would appear to anyone that it's from like 300 or 400 years in the future. Okay, so it does reflect the same pattern of logic that has brought me to make this discovery, and so the secret thing about the company is I would rather get other people to do it because I'm the owner, I'm the director, I'm the owner. I aren't supposed to be doing the work, and so it'll create, mate, just so many jobs, man. It's like, and it's really, really, really high value stuff, right? It's Ferrari level. It's really the Ferrari of everything in the genre that it actually, you know, this creates a new genre of technology, basically, and it overwrites the state of the art in the fields that it just totally enables people to do things differently. And so anyway, I would progress from that, separate to that, and I would engage, I would commission people to do specific things and get it going, and it's like, because it's yeah, and but I would progress. I would immediately progress to I already wanted to do this, but I just don't have the money. The last 2 weeks of work were actually only fucking less than half a week's work. It's fuck. So I'm totally broke right now. It's like fucking Christmas, man. And anyway, what I was going to do is print up double-sided A4 sheet. I was going to put a minimal disclosure of the 8 laws. You know, you have your presupposition, and then you have your 8 laws, and then a final statement, right? Because people know all about this. They don't need, you know, you can know anything you want. All these great data points that have come to me will come to you if you are aware, because you have consciousness, and you have been watching this going on your whole life, and you've seen it in actually the events of history, how they've played out. And so that's how it has to be written when I do the book thing. That the book, I've decided on a title that will be called The Observed Morality of Civilization. And that is a fair title, man. I was going to call it God So Loved the World He Put Satan Here. But that's, we don't want any humour in this, man. This is dead serious. This is really serious stuff. So yeah, the observed morality of civilization. And yeah, so put the 8 laws on one side, and then on the other side, double-sided printing, the policies of my political party, right? What I would do. And so, according to how the Second World War started, right, if I do that, put down my political party aspirations that largely involved social policy and the economy, right? If I do that, they will call me Hitler, because that's exactly why Hitler was made Hitler. That's exactly why the Second World War was generated, not by Hitler, by the outside forces, because it is anxiety. It's how anxiety defends itself. It turns the victim into the aggressor. It plays maximum offence, and then when they go and tell you about it, they're the maximum victim. This follows the behaviour of anxiety exactly. And so, yeah, print that up. And I was going to go down the mall here, Riccarton Mall, which is kind of an upmarket mall because a lot of foreign people come into it, right? Heaps of people. And then just give them to people. And, you know, these foreign people that live in New Zealand, they would want New Zealand to do well. And they know instinctively that New Zealanders are not happy. You know, there's all this domestic violence and there's all this stuff going on that is dysfunctional, and they instinctively know this, particularly the Chinese. Chinese are smart people, man. I mean, they come along their path, right, and they're all about the money, right, of course. This is what they're known for in the Western world. But that's because they've come along this path culturally. I mean, the Cultural Revolution in China was the maximum optimum outcome of the political correctness of anxiety. Okay, so you get anxiety, the political entity, you get the aspirations of anxiety as it events in the mind, you spread that out over our whole people, You know, of course lots of people die. Because anxiety wants to kill people. It wants to reduce them to nothing. This is fucking what the Bolshevik Revolution was about in Russia. They just, an anxiety disorder took over the country and then did things that pleased the political correctness of anxiety, which is a virtual deity, right? And so yeah, there's a lot of replications of anxiety, man. There's just heaps of them, eh? And so that it can be understood that this lie can be made known. See, at this point, up till now, anxiety has been this invisible dictatorship that owns language, man. It owns language. It wrote language for itself, okay? But now there's a qualification where you can make that invisible enemy visible, and you can figuratively go from trying to catch smoke in a dark room, you can figuratively hold anxiety in your hand and look at it. Now that is a gift from the universe, man. That is a gift from the universe, and that's, you know, I've been reduced to tears of joy many times in the last year, and joy, man, joy, amazement, astonishment, and so that's my main focus, want. That's what I desire. I am compelled to tell people, more people, man, more people. And I would do that if I could. I'm going to start by printing up, and it costs money. So I missed out before. I was going to do it a couple of weeks ago and do this. And so then it goes real public. Then people start ringing up the media. And so it's a fire that starts, man. The fire rises. And so the reaction has been absolutely consistent with people I've talked to, and including the hangout group there, Sun and Moon hangout group. They absolutely stopped and listened. And this one guy was talking about ley lines and things, and the thing with language is this, that everything that has been conceived in the history of man as far as knowledge is concerned has been conceived through the perception that the language allows. How we can conceptualize things in our mind is a result of the language and how the language functions, right? And so his understanding of what was important to know, he got from that sum total. He perceived what was important because of the knowledge. And see, obviously, focusing on that kind of thing, the ley lines and things like that, he obviously wants to step off this crazy train by focusing his mind to these seemingly abstract things. But I said to him that, you know, I'm not the least bit interested in the house, because all the physicists out there, they all keep talking, you know, figuratively speaking, they keep talking about the house we live in. You know, they keep obsessing about how the house was built. They keep obsessing about why the house was built. And I can't escape that none of that is important. How we can live in the house is important. How we can live in the house. And we haven't even begun to do this, right? So I can assume this, right, that this event heralds the human race finally leaving the caves. Finally stop being Neanderthals. Because that's what has been going on. We have been acting like Neanderthals. Fucking corporate America are trying to rape Venezuela of their resources. They're trying to overthrow the country and take over the governance of the country. Right? That's the replication of anxiety. Okay, so we're still acting like Neanderthals. We're still acting like Neanderthals because we're these separate groups. Right? We act as separate groups. And anxiety loves separating networks. The first thing it wants to do is destroy your relationships with your friends, right? And that's is what these big entities have been doing in history. That's what religion does. See, Jesus there individualizes you by calling it that you've got a soul and you will be judged. That is separating you from all of your other people. Okay, that means you're alone. And that's a replication of anxiety. That's where anxiety wants you. And so all of this is a replication of anxiety. And but now everything's going to change because I want this. And speaking on behalf of the universe that has tasked me with bringing this message to you, I want all of the silent majority of the earth to be a singular political entity. And through that, there will be a denouncement of anxiety, the political entity, okay, and all these institutions that are built on that way of understanding, right? And then, so that will force all of the establishment of the earth to the outside of society. And you know what? They're already there. They're already acting independently of community values, right? And so, now, this is what I'm going to do. This is what I'm going to do, right? And, you know, from the discovery, I knew that it would be a few years for me to properly have a comprehensive understanding of all directions, man. All the consequences in every direction. It would be a while before I was in a position where I could instantly retrieve the stuff that needed to be said and there we are. That's so I love you, and so I must do this. I must do this, man. I'm going to do this. My purpose is to destroy religion. And religion says that this will happen. So I'm glad they agree about that. Because I'm going to turn the Vatican into a fountain, eh? That's what I'm going to do. And they'll help me. They'll help me do it because they have to agree that this is the thing. People want the strong bond with actually, I say that which is there. I don't utter any name. That's uttering a name is forbidden, right? That which is there or the universe, right? Because saying a name, the political optics of saying a name or picking up a book and reading it is that you believe that that what's there is not there actually. Because your interaction would be entirely different if the presence was present. And you believe in that presence, you would interact entirely differently than picking up a book. So that's a very obvious red flag that religion's full of it, man. It's like a giant lie. It actually is a replication of anxiety. They've taken hundreds of years to write it, you know, compose it really carefully. The replication of the function of anxiety. Got to remember that anxiety, when it hijacks consciousness, it has all of the cognitive power of consciousness at its disposal. And that's how they rule over us. Okay? Courage acknowledges anxiety, but anxiety does not acknowledge courage. And because anxiety is a political entity, all that detail in that algorithm seem really important and exciting, and it's like, because courage, it's a simple premise. You just walk with consciousness. And the real only law is respecting courtesy. And be creative. All the things that anxiety hates. So I prefer, I'm going to do this mission, and this is the longest video I've ever made. Anyway, let's chat, man. Let's chat. Yeah. This is only the beginning.